Does Prime Minister Boris Johnson use dye to achieve his famously golden locks? And is the unruly look a put-on to make himself more palatable to regular people? Keep watching to learn the messy truth about Johnson's wild mane. Boris Johnson has been called Britain's Trump and a Trump mini-me. According to critics, the similarities stretch far beyond their newsworthy hairstyles. Indeed, the British Prime Minister's shady actions, his shaky relationship with Queen Elizabeth, and his headline-making personal life haven't helped him win any fans. Real-world examples that supposedly showcase these unflattering traits include a lobbying scandal, an investigation into who exactly paid for his £15,000 luxury holiday to Mystique Island in April 2021, and a reported illegal Christmas party during COVID lockdown, which Johnson has denied. Not surprisingly, Reuters notes that support for the British Prime Minister is declining. But one thing that hasn't changed is his hair, and people's interest in it. So what's going on with that infamous blonde do? Johnson's signature hairstyle is disheveled, to say the least, and one of the hottest points of debate is whether or not it's styled that way. The Prime Minister is adamant that his do is natural, and in 2008 he proclaimed, "My hairstyle is impossible to imitate, as it is a product of random and competing forces of nature." While some experts agree, others aren't convinced. For example, hairdresser Rhonda Lewis told Politico she believes that Johnson puts a hair product in and then, quote, blasts it with a hairdryer. Otherwise, it would simply fall flat. While we may never know for certain, the Prime Minister again stressed that he has a casual styling routine when he told a journalist in 2020, per the Daily Mail,
"I do brush it. I have a brush in my office."
There's been plenty of buzz around the cut itself as well, especially during Britain's pandemic lockdown when all salons were closed. Johnson looked scruffier than usual, and folks started wondering if his then-fiancée, Carrie Simmons, was doing the cutting. Celebrity hairstylist James Johnson told the Daily Mail, "The straight and blunt edges that are disconnected make the cut look like an at-home job." In October 2021, the Stoke Sentinel dubbed Boris Johnson's hair a, quote, cultural phenomenon. But it seems he's not the first British political figure to use an unkempt style to his advantage. According to Professor Dominic Janes, who teaches modern history at Keele University, scruffy Boris Johnson's man-of-the-people look is part of a long British tradition. Writing for The Conversation, the scholar honed in on Charles James Fox, Britain's first foreign secretary. He lived in the 18th century and was actually the first to use his hair for political gains. Like Johnson, who is a distant relative of King George II and thus enjoyed a privileged upbringing that included an Oxford education, Fox too came from an aristocratic background and even studied at the same university. Johnson was initially labeled a dandy for his elite lifestyle, but he soon discovered that made him less relatable to the masses. He changed things up by, quote, ditching the elite look. It's a move the historian says Johnson borrowed from Fox, claiming Boris Johnson's signature scruffy style conceals privilege by pretending to thumb its nose at it. If you think Boris Johnson's hair is simply too messy to be an accident, you're not alone. Even before he was Prime Minister, his hair was a hot topic. The Guardian began its 2014 profile of the future British leader by commenting on his, quote, unruly thatch of blonde fluff. Journalist Elizabeth Day suggested, Johnson takes a great deal more care of it than he is willing to let on. Day also reported that he had been caught ruffling his hair on purpose in order to achieve the unkempt look before public appearances. Pressed about it, Johnson played up a carefree approach, saying, "There was something in the shower this morning that I used. I cannot honestly tell you what it was." Despite his claims, folks weren't convinced. After he was chosen as the new leader of the Conservative Party of Britain in 2019, the New York Times honed in on Johnson's strategic use of a deceptively absurd image. The newspaper went on to claim that he used his, quote, silly style to garner both affection and votes from the British public. The Atlantic agreed, stating, Boris Johnson knows exactly what he's doing because he's superficially disheveled, but in fact focused and watchful. Meanwhile, Politico called Johnson's hair a, quote, political brand. His biographer, Sonia Purnell, told the outlet that he used his hair as a decoy to disarm, and noted how, the further up the greasy political pole he climbed, the messier his hair got to be. That's quite a few critics claiming the Prime Minister is plotting with his messy locks.
He's going to be a fantastic Prime Minister, I can tell you.
Not only does Boris Johnson's hair make headlines, but so do the haircuts that help keep it newsworthy. Whenever Johnson gets a trim or shows up at an event looking like he's in desperate need of one, you can be sure someone will report on it. Even before he was Prime Minister, The Sun did a full story on the then Foreign Secretary showing off an unusually short cut in 2016. Then in 2018, when he was a member of Parliament on the campaign trail, he made a surprise stop at Funky Barber in London, and The Sun tracked down the stylist who cut his hair for an interview. Fascination with Johnson's do has only continued to grow, and it reached a new level of interest during the pandemic lockdown. In February 2021, Piers Morgan shared that the PM's then-fiancée, Carrie Simmons, was planning to give him a DIY quarantine cut. Indeed, Johnson himself told the BBC in March of 2021,
"I do badly need a haircut."
In April 2021, as soon as restrictions on hairdressers were lifted, The Sun was quick to dedicate an entire article to the Prime Minister getting a professional haircut by his personal barber at 10 Downing Street. Boris Johnson's signature hair hasn't always looked the way it does now. As if to prove the theory that it truly is imperfectly styled on purpose, Marie Claire was able to unearth a slew of photos from the Prime Minister's past, in which his locks look nothing like what we're used to. In the 80s, for example, Johnson was sporting a side swoop that would give a young Justin Bieber a run for his money. A decade later, he showed off what the outlet described as a, quote, shorter, spikier crop, in which the sweep was gone and shorter bangs were no longer flat but tousled. The Guardian also did its own digging into the Prime Minister's hair evolution and found that while studying at Eton College in the late 70s, he sported a longish bowl cut down to the middle of his ears. Meanwhile, at a 1986 party at Oxford Town Hall, he smoothed his hair straight down, allowing his bangs to hang shaggily above his eyes, but not a single hair was standing out of place. It wasn't until the early 2000s that Johnson perfected the bed hair look, which he showcased while appearing on the BBC comedy quiz show Have I Got News for You, per Marie Claire. Indeed, one of the show's executive producers, Richard Wilson, claimed that Johnson would purposely mess up his hair right before the cameras rolled, helping him launch the look that would go on to win him millions of votes. In addition to endless questions about the actual styling and cutting of his hair, Boris Johnson's mane has also come under scrutiny for its color. More specifically, people want to know whether or not the Prime Minister relies on a little help from peroxide to achieve his blonde do. It's a topic on which Johnson himself has offered mixed information. In 2016, he boasted about his hair to the Sunday Times, saying, "This is the real thing, it's all natural." When the reporter asked if he dyed his hair, he allegedly admitted yes. However, it seems that was a joke that was lost in print. Soon after the admission began making headlines, Johnson's sister Rachel took to social media to set the record straight, tweeting, "All Johnsons are natural blondes. No hair dye in the world could achieve the unearthly platinum shine of the Boris Johnson Barnett." It wasn't long after that adamant defense that journalist Tim Shipman, who wrote the original article, tweeted, "Boris Johnson had requested an urgent point of clarification about hair dye, says he was joking and has never used it." According to The Sun, Johnson explained, "I do remember saying yes in what was a satirical voice. I remember thinking, God, I hope he doesn't take that seriously. Natural blonde or not, we'll never know for certain." While some believe Boris Johnson's hair is a clever ploy that has helped him advance in politics, others are adamant critics of the disheveled do. All you have to do is turn to social media to see the amount of hate it regularly receives. For example, in July 2021, Johnson posted a video to Twitter announcing he'd have to isolate after coming in contact with someone who had COVID-19, and his hair looked like it had taken a beating. British actor Matt Lucas tweeted, "I have a comb I'm not using if you want one." Meanwhile, Alistair Campbell, Tony Blair's former spokesperson, slammed, "Comb your hair and get out of our lives." Piers Morgan unleashed a tirade, tweeting, "What a shambles, but what else to expect from a guy who can't be bothered to even brush his hair when he addresses the British people?" That same month, the Scotsman columnist Simon Kellner wrote an entire op-ed piece titled, "Boris Johnson's messy hair is a sign of a general attitude of negligence." Honing in on what he dubbed, quote, curated dishevelment, Kellner wrote, "I can't decide whether Johnson wants to draw attention to his appearance or to distract attention from his message." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.